Hello students, how are you? I hope you're still fine and healthy. I hope you have been revising your books, of course, because you are good students. This is teacher Hilda, your teacher for literature in English, that is for senior 6, and I want you to get ready with your notebooks and pens so that we can study. But before we start, I want to remind you that this program is brought to you by the Rwanda Education Board in partnership with Mastercard Foundation and Inspire, Educate and Empower Rwanda. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic, schools were closed and we have to study from home until when schools will be open. So in our lessons, we have been looking at The Text and Mole Farm by George Orwell. We have looked at the plot summary, the biography of the author. We have looked at themes in the text. We have looked at chapter summaries. We looked at each chapter and we analyzed each chapter. So today we are going to look at a number of things. We are going to conclude, in other words, by looking at the style, the symbols. We look at the point of view and the key facts in Animal Farm. So let us start with the style. Now, the style of Animal Farm is simple and clear. It is not that hard. The novella's language is one concrete, factual, and delivered in short sentences. The simplicity of style culminates at the novella's end in one sentence paragraph. This sentence paragraph is in chapter 10, which says, it was a pig walking on his hind legs. He carried a whip in his trotter. So the simplicity and clarity of the novella's style contrasts with the way Animal Farm characters use language. Okay, throughout the book, characters use language in deceptive ways of political purpose. Some characters make their language complex in order to deceive, like Squealer, when he is explaining Napoleon's actions. Other characters use simplistic language to distort the truth, like the sheep. The sheep's slogan, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. So alongside these examples of deceptive language, Orwell's own writing style offers a constant reminder that truth can be conveyed in straightforward language. Could be conveyed in a straightforward language anyone can understand. The strong contrast between the plain-spoken style of the novel and the manipulative styles adapted by characters who want to seize power illuminates the difference between truthful language and political deception. The notable feature of Animal Farm style is in the use of passive voice. For instance, when Napoleon steals the cow's milk, we are not told which character or characters noticed that the milk is missing, but instead, we are told that it was noticed that the milk had disappeared. That is in chapter 2. So we don't get to know who says how they get to discover that the milk is missing. So the use of passive voice emphasizes the animal's helplessness. The passive voice also helps to show the power of rumor and false information in an oppressive society. When no one knows exactly who said or did or noticed something, it is easier to claim that things didn't really happen or that it happened differently, and this is exactly what the pigs do. So let us look at symbols. Now we have different symbols in Animal Farm, but first of all, symbols are objects or characters or figures and colors are used to represent abstract ideas or concept. Now we have different symbols in Animal Farm. The first one, we have Animal Farm as a symbol. We have the barn as a symbol, and we have the windmill. So let us look at Animal Farm as a symbol now. Animal Farm, known at the beginning and at the end of the novel as Mena Farm. Now remember, during Mr. Jones' times, it was called Mena Farm. In the due course of the novel, after the revolution or after the rebellion, the animals rename it to Animal Farm. And then at the end of the text, we see that the name changes back to Mena Farm. So this symbolizes Russia and the Soviets under the Communist Party rule. But more generally, Animal Farm stands for any human society, be it capitalist, be it socialist, fascist, or communist. So it possesses the internal structure of a nation within a government. The government, that is the pigs, okay? A police force or an army, the dogs. A working class, the other animals, and state holidays and rituals. So its location amid a number of hostile neighboring farms support its symbolism as a political entity within diplomatic concerns. Now, we also have the barn as a symbol. Now, the barn at Animal Farm, one whose outside walls the pigs paint the 7 commandments, and later their revisions represent the collective memory of a modern nation. The many scenes in which the ruling class, that is the pigs, alter the principles of animalism, in which the working class animals puzzle over but accept these changes, represent the way an institution in power can revise a community's concept of history and bolster its control and control it. If the working class believes history to lie on the side of their oppressors, they are less likely to question oppressive practices. So, moreover, the oppressors, who are the pigs, by revising their nation's conception of its origin and development, gain control of the nation's very identity, and the oppressed soon come to depend upon the authorities of their communal sense. Now, I want you to look at the barn, okay? What is painted on it, the 7 commandments. Now, they have had a rebellion and they have succeeded. But what made them rebel is what is actually happening. They say Mr. Jones does not do any work, and yet he makes the animals overwork. I want you to look at what the pigs do. They don't work. They don't do any physical work. But what do? They decide, they dictate on what should happen, how much each animal should eat, among other things. So let us look at the windmill as a symbol. Now, the great windmill symbolizes the pigs' manipulation of the other animals for their own gain. Now, despite the immediacy of the need for food and warmth, the pigs exploit boxer and the other common animals by making them undertake back-breaking labor to build a windmill, which will ultimately earn the pigs more money and thus increase their power. So the pig's declaration that Snowball is responsible for the windmill's fast collapse constitutes psychological manipulation, and it prevents the common animals from doubting the pig's abilities and unites them against a supposed enemy, who is, of course, Snowball. So the ultimate conversion of the windmill is to commercial use is one more sign of pigs' betrayal of their fellow animals. So from an allegorical point of view, the windmill represents the enormous modernization projects undertaken in Soviet Russia after the Russian Revolution.
Come along and play with us.
So let us look at the motifs in Animal Farm. Now, motifs are recurring structures, contrasts, and literally devices that can help to develop and inform the text's major themes. All right. So now we have different motifs. For example, songs. I want us to majorly focus on songs. Now, Animal Farm is filled with songs, poems, and slogans, including Old Majors starring Beast of England, Min Massey's Ode to Napoleon, the sheep's chants, you know what they keep chanting, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, and as propaganda, one of the major conducts of social control. So by making the working class animals speak the same words at the same time, the pigs invoke an atmosphere of nobility associated with a recited text subject matter. So the song also erodes the animal's sense of individuality, the song Beast of England, and keep them focused on which they will achieve freedom. Okay, so the songs keep recurring, the songs keep coming in. Before the revolution, the animals sing Beast of England on each and every meeting. But then after the revolution, towards the end of the text, the songs now change. Why? The pigs think that what they were fighting for, they have achieved it. So they should no longer sing Beast of England. Look at the sheep. They keep chanting 4 legs good, 2 legs bad at every meeting, and even when Snowball is trying to make a speech, that is what they do. Look at Min Massey's Ode to Napoleon, which is later painted on Animal Farm. Okay, so let us look at the point of view in which Animal Farm is told. Now, Animal Farm is told from collective limited third-person point of view, sometimes known as omniscient narrator. The narrator knows everything the animals say, see, know and do as a group. The narrator does not know what the pigs say, do when they are apart from the other animals, and we rarely see their actions through the eyes of individual animals. So occasionally the reader is granted brief glimpses of an animal's individual point of view. Most of Clover, so because Clover and Boxer are the heart of the animal group, the collective point of view focuses our sympathy on the hopes and fears the animals share as a political unit or class. So rather than individual characters. So the collective point of view also shows how easily collective memory can be manipulated. Individual animals might remember what really happened at the Battle of Cowshed, but because readers don't have access to individual points of view, they can know for certain. Instead, readers only know what the animals say they remember. When the pigs make it dangerous to tell the truth, then the false version of the battle is accepted. Even the narrator as the true collective memory, and it no longer matters whether individual animals remember something different. So the collective point of view also creates deep ironies in Animal Farm. While the story is told from the simple, let's say, trusting point of view of the animals, the reader is constantly or is consistently reminded that their perspective is very limited. The effects can be comic, chilling, or sad, and sometimes all three at once. For instance, when Napoleon takes the cow's milk for the pigs, all the readers are told that when the animals come back in the evening, it was noticed that the milk had disappeared. That is in chapter 2, remember. So the irony here comes from the gap between what the animals see, because we see how easily they can be betrayed. Their trust is not chilling. You as a reader can see that in the pig's treachery. Okay, so Animal Farm's irony serves a direct political purpose. So by emphasizing the gap between what the farm's inhabitants see going on and what the reader see as outsiders, the book invites readers to look at their own society with outside eyes.
Come along and play with us.
So we can also look at foreshadowing in Animal Farm. So Animal Farm makes heavy use of foreshadowing. Most of the plot's main events are foreshadowed in the opening chapters. This foreshadowing emphasizes the inevitability of what happens, suggesting that violent revolution is doomed to fail and that power always corrupts. Animal Farm foreshadowing also serves to place particular emphasis on the events Orwell saw as central to the failure of the Russian Revolution and other revolutions generally. So the events mostly heavily foreshadowed are different stages of the farm's collapses into violence. And we are going to look at a few of them. We are going to look at the executions, Boxer's death, and Napoleon's treachery. Now, when it comes to executions, Napoleon's decision to execute other animals is foreshadowed in chapter 1, when Old Major says, "You young porkers who are sitting in front of me, every one of you will scream your lives out at the block within a year." This prophecy comes true, but instead of being killed by Jones on the butcher's block, the porkers are killed on Napoleon's orders. So, by using an example of Mr. Jones' cruelty to foreshadow Napoleon's, the novella argues that two regimes, human and pigs, are essentially the same. So what about Boxer's death? What does it foreshadow? Now, Boxer's death is foreshadowed in chapter 7 when Napoleon's dogs are quite mad. Okay, you know Napoleon's dog attack Boxer. So although Boxer is unharmed, this incident foreshadows Napoleon's decision to have Boxer killed. Boxer's death is also foreshadowed by the novella's many references to the pasture that will be set apart for retired animals. As the pig's treachery unfolds, it becomes clear to the reader that the retirement pasture will never exist. So as a result, every reference to Boxer's retirement becomes foreshadowing of Napoleon's betrayal, of his betrayal and death. So when Boxer himself looks forward to retiring, Napoleon will betray him, which emphasizes the cruelty of Napoleon's deception. So let us look at Napoleon's treachery. What does it foreshadow? Now, Animal Farm strongly foreshadows that Napoleon and the other pigs will betray the ideals of the rebellion. So from the beginning of the novella, the pigs take control of old Major's ideas and twist them into new shapes. First, animalism, then simplistic slogans of the sheep, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. The manipulation of old Major's ideas foreshadows the ultimate betrayal of the rebellion's goals when commandments of animalism are replaced by a slogan, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. You find that phrase in chapter 10. Napoleon's treachery begins with small deceptions like taking all the cow's milk for the pigs, which foreshadows the bigger deceptions to come, such as the lie that Boxer has been taken to hospital. Napoleon's dogs are threatening from the moment they appear, which foreshadows their role in the violent oppression that follows. So that's it about foreshadowing.
Come along and play with us.
So let us look at the key facts in Animal Farm. What are the key facts? Now, what is the title? The full title of the text is Animal Farm. Okay? Animal Farm. So who is the author? The author is George Orwell, initially known as Eric Arthur Blair. The type of work, it is a novella. Which genre does it fall into? It is a dystopian animal fable. It could be a satire or allegory. The language that is used is English. So the time and place written, that was between 1943 to 1944 in London. The date it was first published was 1946. And the publishers are Harcourt Brace and Company. So the narrator, so Animal Farm is the only work by George Orwell in which the author does not appear as a narrator or a major character. So it is the least overtly personal of all his writing. So the anonymous narrator of the story is almost a non-entity, notable for no individual biases. So in which point of view is the story told? So the story is told from the point of view of the common animals of Animal Farm, though it refers to them in the third person plural as they. So the tone, which tone is used in the text Animal Farm? So for the most part, the tone of the novel is objective, stating external factors and rarely digressing into philosophical meditations. So the mixture of this tone with the outrageous plot, however, steeps the story in an over-mounting irony. So the tense that the text is written is past. So let us look at setting in form of time. So as the case of most fables, Animal Farm is set in unspecified time period and is largely free from historical references that would allow readers to date the action precisely. So it is important to remember that the period represented the recent past and present in the time of writing, and Orwell understands the significance of the story's action to be immediate and ongoing rather than historical. So let us look at setting in form of place. The other one was in form of time. We cannot really tell the exact time, but all we can say it is an imaginary farm in England. An imaginary farm in England. So who is the protagonist of the story? Who is the protagonist in Animal Farm? The only thing we could say is that there is no clear central character in the novel, but Napoleon, the dictatorial pig, is the figure who drives the ties together most of the time. So we could say Napoleon is the protagonist. The major conflict. What is the major conflict in the text Animal Farm? There are a number of conflicts in Animal Farm. The animals versus Mr. Jones, Snowball versus Napoleon, the common animals versus the pigs, Animal Farm versus neighboring humans, among others. But all of them are expressions of the underlying tension between exploited and exploiting classes and between the lofty ideals and harsh realities of socialism. So what is the rising action? The animals throw off their human oppressors and establish a social state called animal farm. The pigs, being the most intelligent animals in the group, take control of the planning and governing of the farm. Snowball and Napoleon engage in ideological disputes and compete for power. So what is the climax? In chapter 5, Napoleon runs Snowball off the farm with his trained pack of dogs and declares that the power to make decisions for the farm will be exercised solely by the pigs, only. So what is the falling action? Where is the falling action? Squealer emerges to justify Napoleon's actions with skillful interpretations of animal principles. So Napoleon continues to consolidate his power, eliminating his enemies and reinforcing his status as supreme leader. The common animals continue to obey the pigs, hoping for a better future.
Come along and play with us.
Let us summarize a few themes in Animal Farm, where there was corruption of the socialist ideals in the Soviet Union. We also looked at the abuse of language as instrument to abuse of power. So what motifs have we looked at? We have looked at songs. The symbols in Animal Farm, we have Animal Farm as a symbol, we have the barn, we have the windmill. Foreshadowing, the pig's eventual abuse of power is foreshadowed in several points of the novel. At the end of chapter 1, immediately after establishment of the supposedly animal farm, the extra milk taken from the cows disappears, and the text implies that Napoleon has drank it himself. So similarly, the dog's attack on Boxer during Napoleon's purges in chapter 7 foreshadows the pig's eventual betrayal of the royal cat horse. So that is all about Animal Farm. I'm going to leave a question with you that you are going to discuss. The question reads, are some animals more equal than others? Are some animals more equal than others? I want you to reflect on that. I want you to keep revising. So that has been it all about Animal Farm. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for being good students. Until we meet again in our next lesson. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, 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 teacher. Goodbye, children. See you next time. Goodbye, 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 teacher.